Okay, so here's a post that I posted today over on right here on our community page. And let me go ahead and read it to you. It's dealing with the whole politics, of what's going on, and and circling back and touching on the difference between a dream and a vision. And that's what we're talking about. So anyway, let's continue on here. Let me go ahead and read to you what I wrote here today. I said, how black political power remains a dream and not a vision. And I said, I feel like the majority of black folks doze off at the far-reaching impacts of Jewish politics over U.S. politics in general, even what we call black politics. Now, I was saying this because I was reading today that Congresswoman Cori Bush, well, she lost her race. And not just her, Jamal Bowen. He's another guy who lost his race as well. The candidates I think Jamal Bowman, I believe the candidate that he lost against was actually a white man, if I'm not mistaken. But it was a very, very close race. I could be mistaken on that. I'm not sure. But for sure, right here, you got it in front of you. Cori Bush, she lost to a black man. Okay, now you may ask, okay, well, how did she lose? Well, it's simple. If you read the article, it talks about the only difference between the two really was the fact that the man right here that she lost to, he was being fully funded by AIPAC.
I want to thank our partners at AIPAC, all the donors, all the supporters across the country. We're not getting across the finish line without all of you. We know how important this race is. We know how important it is to stand with our Jewish brothers and sisters, to stand with Israel. And as the Democratic nominee for the 1st Congressional District of Missouri, I want you to know that you will always have an ally with me. Thank you.
And as you know, AIPAC is a Jewish organization that's about continual funding of Israel. All right. And so Cori Bush is someone that made it very clear that she ain't with that, that she is on Team Gaza and for the rights and all of that for the Palestinians. Now, there's other things in her policy that in her general policy platform, I don't necessarily agree with. But I think this is something of note that anybody who's looking to politics for a solution, you definitely need to take note of this. Okay, so let me go back and continue here. I said, now, I never cared too much about Cori Bush's general policies to begin with, but her loss should be a great concern for black folks who lean on politics for solutions. Both Bush and her challenger are both black. But according to this article, the one difference that gave Bell the edge, AIPAC. Bush had a long history of being pro-Gaza, while Bell defended Israel. Israel liked that a lot and rewarded him with a bag. This was almost the same exact scenario behind the now former black New York Congressman Jamal Bowman recently. I've done several videos explaining in detail how many U.S. police departments get part of their training via Israel, either directly or indirectly.
Many police officers around this country, the same officers who are known for abusing and killing black folks and poor folks, are known to have received training from the Israeli National Police. And unsurprisingly, the Israeli National Police is known for various human rights violations against Palestinians. For instance, it was revealed in 2016 that the Baltimore Police Department, the same police department that killed Freddie Gray, had received training in Israel in crowd control, use of force, and surveillance. And it's not just Baltimore. Hundreds of other police departments have traveled to Israel, like ones from Florida, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, California, Arizona, Connecticut, New York, Massachusetts, North Carolina, Georgia, Washington State, the D.C. Capitol Police, and thousands of other police departments across America have received training from Israeli officials here in the United States. With your
Sadly, most black folks prefer the endless emotional outbursts on social media when it comes to police brutality rather than address who is training these cops. A literal apartheid state. Let me stop there for a second. Because this is what I'm saying. Like we just saw, in the recent case where the cop went in and he felt threatened by this black woman, with a pot of hot water. He thought that she was going to kill him with a pot of hot water. Okay, whatever. And shot her and killed her. Right. So what typically happens when we have cops do this kind of stuff is what we get. Black folks get on social media and black folks are crying. They're venting off their frustrations and all of this stuff here. And I'm going to say something that may ruffle some feathers here, but for those of you who have been following, you're going to know that I'm very consistent. And as we go on, you're going to understand why when we get to the second portion of this broadcast. But all of that emoting on social media and not coming up with real solutions, a lot of that, I'm going to be honest with you, that's almost like feminine energy. Okay? Now, I want you to understand this. Because what men do is that when we are problem solvers. We fix things. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying that women don't, but men by design, this is what we do. When we see a problem, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time like, talking about, the problem. We're like, no, let's get our stuff together and let's fix this thing. Let's deal with it. How can we fix this thing so it doesn't happen again? Sometimes it's funny when I listen to my, my wife, she will say like, sometimes she may, my wife or daughter, it don't matter. Sometimes cause they're very respectful, and they, but I'm like, y'all tell me, if it's something like if it's something, let's say that, they're having problems with, maybe it's a device or, whatever. And they'll bring it to my attention. They know that it's not, and then, my daughter more so, she'll be like, well, Dad, you ain't got to spend all that time with it. I'm like, no, I want to fix this thing. It's like a mission for me to get it fixed. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I do. And then once I get it fixed, then they're like, okay, thank you. And then, a little smile come on her face or whatever, because I fixed it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, in general, that's what we do. It doesn't make one better than the other. But generally speaking, that's what we do. So, but unfortunately, what I have seen and what I witnessed when it comes to what we call black politics, it's a lot of emoting, but there's not enough. Let's get to the root of it and let's solve this thing and let this thing be in the past. And the reason why I'm saying all this is because of the fact that this AIPAC thing, if you're not up on this thing and paying attention to what it really is and the power that they have in politics, then you're just wasting your time. So let me say this and rewind and say it again. AIPAC is a pro-Israel organization, and they have major power within Washington, D.C., major power, because they're tied to a nation state, right? And so a lot of what goes on in Washington, D.C. is done by the approval of AIPAC. Now, I want you to understand that. So trickle this down to the police. We've talked about this many times before. Many, not all, but there are many police departments throughout the United States who will either directly or indirectly receive training from Israel. Now, as you know, Israel is in fact an apartheid state. Now, they will have disagreements with that, with somebody saying that, but it is. Israel, going back in their history, speaking of apartheid, was one of the only, we're going to say a nation state, that stood side by side with apartheid South Africa. They provided them training. They provided them with armament. They provided them with whatever it is that they need in South Africa. See, people got short memories out these days. See, you can't forget these things. Even to this day, you have special forces out of Israel that go and train the Boers in South Africa. So they take that training goes to a lot of these places. That same training can be seen in Ukraine. Yes, the same country where they were warning black folks, if you go there, be prepared to be called the N-word. So this same group of people are training police here in the United States. So anybody that claims to be AIPAC and not see that connection, you're an ignorant person and you don't need to be discussing politics. All right, let me finish reading this, okay? I said, let me see. I said, I've done so. Okay, many black people go tone deaf when it comes to the creep of the Noahide laws, all right, and into the U.S. legal system and its impacts on us. Instead, too many are preoccupied with playing Israelites. In the past, I've talked about it briefly about what are the Noahide laws. The Noahide laws are very similar to what you would say the 10 Commandments are. So that's why it's the 10 Commandments thing is a slow creep towards the Noahide laws, which falls under Judaism and all of that stuff. All right. But one day I will do a comprehensive video where I will explain to you and show you how these Noahide laws are already found within our criminal justice system and the impact it's having, particularly on black folks. See, what I'm telling you right now is this: you're not going to find too many black platforms that are talking about topics like this. They don't get into the details on this. Instead, it's all 100% emotion and emoting, and you're all over the place. And we got to vote for her because she looks like us nonsense. But in the meantime, this is this kind of stuff that's happening. I said, lastly, both U.S. presidential candidates and their VP choices are strong AIPAC supporters.
And as Iran continues to launch ballistic missiles, while it arms and funds its terrorist proxy Hezbollah, we must stand with Israel. As Hamas maintains its control of Gaza and fires rockets across Israel's southern border, we must stand with Israel. I support the United States' commitment to provide Israel with $38 billion in military assistance over the next decade. It is why I support full funding for Israel, including for the Arrow, David Sling, and the Iron Dome missile defense systems, which save lives. So let me be clear about what I believe. I stand with Israel because of our shared values, which are so fundamental to the founding of both our nations. I believe the bonds between the United States and Israel are unbreakable, and we can never let anyone drive a wedge between us. I believe Israel should never be a partisan issue. I will do everything in my power to ensure broad and bipartisan support for Israel's security and right to self-defense. I believe that when any organization delegitimizes Israel, we must stand up and speak out for Israel to be treated equally. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No.
With Republicans doing most of the public tap dancing for this group. So to put it plainly, quote unquote, black political policies ride on top of Jewish political policies. You need to understand that. Let me read that again. So to put it plainly, black political policies ride on top of Jewish political policies. That includes the entire issue of reparations. Now, when I point this out, once again, some folks get into their emotions and conclude that I must hate all black people because I'm pointing out some serious issues when it comes to reparations. So again, for the slow people in the back, do I agree with the premise of reparations? Absolutely. What I also understand is when you look to your oppressor to give you great sums of money like that, that means you're going to be that much more oppressed by them. Ultimately, if you're going to demand for reparations, my suggestion would be this: don't give it to me in American dollars. You want reparations? Don't give it to me in American dollars. I don't want it in American dollars. Don't give it to me in crypto. Give it to me in gold. Give it to me in precious metals. Give it to me in oil. That's what I want you to give it to me in. Give it to me in something where I can negotiate its value, and I am truly walking away from the table with some real power. Because if you're going to give me dollars, US dollars, and the market tanks, so goes your reparations. If you give it to me in crypto and they decide to put restrictions on how you spend that crypto, then so goes your reparations. But see, gold and all of that, it's a reason why England and all these other countries, they got all these stashes of gold. And the irony is, a lot of the gold that they have stashed away, guess where they got it from? Africa. But we fighting over, you better run me my check. You want a check from a bank that can crash tomorrow. But see, these are the details that we try to talk about on this platform, and unfortunately, people don't want to hear it. Hey, wait, let me go on here. So to put it plainly, black political policies right on top of Jewish political policies. That includes the entire issue of reparations. When I point this out, once again, some folks get into their emotions and conclude that I must hate all black people. It's actually sad to watch how black folks actually believe that their $1 to $2 million that they raise on Zoom calls from 50,000 black folks, which could break down to basically $30 a person, are actually making real moves in DC politics. Truth be told, black folks are by far the best cheerleaders out there. In fact, black people are so good at it that we'll do it for free. And that's the problem. And the political world is by far the best example of this madness. Let's continue. I said, while these boule groups can be credited to energizing the Democratic Party for one of their own, Kamala, they are doing so without any stated black-centered policy promises from her. Meanwhile, AIPAC is getting firm foundation, or rather financial commitments from both candidates. Let me say that again. Meanwhile, AIPAC is getting firm financial commitments from both candidates. So while black folks love the spectacle of raising up $1 million plus on an exciting Zoom call, one AIPAC member can write a check for triple that amount without all the high drama. In case you didn't notice, you won't see Jews on social media telling their men, if you don't support Kamala, you're not Jewish. They're playing with real money, while black folks are still believe that their tithe and offering coins combined with excessive free buck dancing equals political power. Bush and Bowman are trying to tell y'all. So all of this extra that you're seeing on social media, I have drastically reduced the amount of time that I spend on Twitter. I just avoid it. Now I just avoid it. Because I don't have time to be dealing with folks who are getting all into the weeds on, oh, did you see her hair? And, did you see this and that? And if you don't vote for her, you ain't black and all, we're back to Obama days again. If you don't do this, you got to believe her and trust her and magnify her and all this other stuff. But in the meantime, the way U.S. politics works, they don't work with your freaking mouth. They don't. They work with money. A lot of it. That's how it works. And political action committees like AIPAC have a lot of it. They got a lot of it, and they're able, and they roll in and they control a lot of what goes on in DC. So if whatever you deem as black politics or black policies, make no mistake about it, it is not going to clash with AIPAC. So regardless if you go with Kamala or if you go with Trump, it doesn't matter. They all have bowed their knee to this organization, and they continue to make that known. So if you want to engage in understanding how politics works for real in this country, or I would say anywhere for that matter, that is where the conversation begins. See, I don't have time I'm done with shedding tears. Like I said, again, it's sad to hear these cases of people, black folks that are getting, this mistreatment by the cops and all that stuff. I don't like hearing that. Of course, who does? But I ain't going to be sitting up here crying over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. No, it's time to address this thing at the root. But unfortunately, many black folks don't want to have that conversation. There's a complete disconnect because that's too many words, Dwayne. That's too much to think about. You got to put it in simpler forms. Explain to me like I'm a 2-year-old. I'm not saying all black people think that way, but I'm just saying a lot of my interactions, a lot of times, I can see it. It's like you start talking about this, zone out. Let's just focus on the fact that what she must felt at that last second when he pulled the trigger. What did she feel? Think about all the ancestors that she's tied to, and and what about the children, and what about this? And you want to get caught up in all of that extra. Meanwhile, people that got a makeup similar to mine, I'm like, okay, you can get into that. You can say that for the funeral, but right now let's get to that paperwork. Let's get to what's contributing to this. What are the factors that are contributing to this? Because we can actually end this right now. But there's not, within the realm of black politics, there's not enough political will to do it. There's not. So everything that you bring to the table is going to be 100% emotion. I did a meme a long time ago where it was, I'm trying to think who it was. Was it Obama, I think it was. And he's sitting at an empty table. Look, this is before the days of AI, so I kind of put this together myself. So he's sitting at an empty table, and then you had the first group come in. They put a whole stack of money up on his in front of him, and they said, Obama, okay, we want this, and this. And he said, okay, you'll get it. Then you had the next group come in and said, Obama, we want this, and this. And he said, okay, you'll get it. Then the next group came in, LGBTs, they came in, same thing. We want this, and this, and same thing. But then when the black folks, you know what they gave them? Well, first of all, I just want to give all honor and praise to God for having me here. And I just thank God that we have a president that looks like us. And he's like, okay, you're welcome. And kept it right on moving. This is how politics works. It's not a mystery. So you can pray all you want and be like, well, God, he going to change the hearts of the men. You can do all that you want. But if you ain't coming into the door with a significant amount of money, you ain't changing nothing. And see, the thing about black folks, we're so impressed with ourselves. 50,000 people getting together to raise $1 million or $1.5 million, or even $2 million. That equates to roughly $30 a person. Do you think that Kamala Harris is sitting back and saying, you know what? I was going to bomb Iraq, but thanks to that grandma that gave $30, I think I'm not going to do it today. Do you really think that's how it works? Your $30 love offering and your prayer. You think that changes things in DC? It doesn't. Change now you get the other man come and says, okay, here's $30 million. Don't bomb that area because I got some golf resorts that I'm trying to build over there. And then Kamala, like, you know what? All right. Thank you for the contribution. Appreciate it. That's how it works. And does it mean that black folks, we just only got no hope at all and we just doomed and damned as a people? No. You just have to understand where to put your energy. You understand what I'm saying? You can have a full, happy life. But putting all your energy in some of this nonsense, it ain't going to get you anywhere fast. In fact, it's going to take energy away from you. All right. So, yeah, I just wanted to go over that because I think it's something worth considering and thinking about. And I think those two elections that took place, both with Bowman and then Cori Bush, you know, and the reason why they they lost. If black folks ain't paying attention to that, then it's, you know, it's just going to be what it is at this point.